Okay, so we got our guy kind of walking around and stuff. Now let's kind of move on to our game again, right? So we have so far kind of like in our story here, we have, you know, this welcome to Sky City, enter the portal. I was gonna do like fade out on these things too and stuff, but I don't want to spend too much time on that and to go too much over today. But what we do need though is we need a simple function for when our player enters this portal to be teleported down here. Now you're gonna see how easy that is to do. It's literally, you just change the transform position of the player. So this is how we're gonna do it, right? So what I want you to do is oops, where did I go? Okay, so I want you to make a sphere, and this sphere, I want you to size it right around this, something like that. So this is gonna be our trigger. Okay, so make a sphere, turn off its mesh renderer, and make sure is trigger is turned on, and rename that sphere to teleport trigger, just like that. So we're creating a new object, and this object will basically, whenever the player walks into that, it will get teleported to the next destination. And what you're going to see is, as we're doing this, these are all reusable and like slightly modifiable. So once you have the storytelling aspect with the text and stuff, and you have the teleporter, for example, you can easily link these stories and teleporters and make as many levels down as you want, and kind of like make it, this teleporter take you there, that teleporter take you there, and you can kind of link it together like that. But we're just gonna do one, just so you can see how it works, or two, you know, why not? But yeah, so just do this. Get your sphere ready. Once you have your sphere ready,
create a mesh render
and make the sphere collider a trigger, because this is going to be a trigger area. And just make sure you rename the object to teleport trigger, something appropriate. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another game object. I'm going to make a cube. Doesn't have to be a cube, but why not, you know? And rename this object to teleport destination. So the cube is just like an easy way for us to just see exactly where the player will end up once he gets teleported there. Then take your destination cube, or teleport destination, whatever, and pull it down here into your area. We haven't done anything with it yet. We're just creating, it's almost like a placeholder object, you know? So we have our sphere, teleport trigger, and then create just an empty cube, just a regular cube, and call it teleport destination, and put it down here, a little bit above the ground, because we don't want the player to kind of get teleported under the ground. So we want it like a little bit above the ground, like this. It's fine if he falls a little bit. It feels almost more teleporty like. So as for the cube, I actually don't want any of these things. I don't want a box collider. I don't want a mesh renderer either. What I do want is, I'm going to introduce you to another concept here in the Unity editor, which is, you see this little icon right up here? Take a look for a second. You see this icon? right here, right next to the name, if you click that little cube, you see it has a bunch of icons here. So if you select one of those icons, like the gray one, you'll notice that it shows up now in the editor with the name of the object. You see that? As teleport destination or whatever. So that's just a really useful little thing. You can even use your own custom texture. See that? So you can use a custom texture, and that's not visible in the game. That's just visible in the editor, just so you can kind of see far away these objects kind of hovering there, right?
Take the mesh render off the box?
Yeah, take the mesh render off, take the box collider off, take it all off. It's just an empty game object. We just started with the cube because, you know, why not? Cubes are fun. But yeah, all I want to do is just do this thing to it, this custom icon. And again, that's not visible in the game. That's just for you, the level designer, to kind of know where this destination is going to be. Then
What did you click to get that?
it's right here, right next to the name in the inspector.
Yeah.
You're right there. There's the icons. So you can select one of the icons, and you'll notice that the name of your object now gets highlighted in the editor. And it goes through walls and everything. So it's not a must. It's just another feature that you can learn about. So then what I want you to do is I want you to take the teleport destination and pull it into the teleport trigger. Just make it a parent. Make it a child object. You can just keep these distances away from them. But just so that we keep the project clean, and we make sure that this teleport has its own destination. Then the last thing that you want to do is we're going to create a script for our teleporter. So you're going to right click, create C# script, and you're going to call it teleport trigger, no spaces. Again.
You created the sphere.
Yep. Just a sphere and a cube down here. That's it. Nothing too complicated right now. So make sure you rename it to teleport trigger, just so you can always find it easily.
I thought that water was on the enemy ship or whatever it was called.
Do you need the scene file?
Yeah, I'm just lost with it.
Go up one feet. Yeah. And make it a little bigger. Make the mesh renderer disappear. Mesh renderer. Yeah, and then use the move tool and just pull it in. And then rename it to the teleport trigger. And then make a trigger. Yeah, and now make a cube. And put it down there. Did you put it down there already? Okay, good. Is it gonna not like drop you somewhere weird? You like look at it from the side just to make sure. That doesn't tell me. You have to look at it from the side because it could be an illusion sometimes. Can you see it now? Go backwards. Okay, that's fine. So you might want your cube to be. So where do you want your player to start? There?
Probably on the other side.
Okay, so that's where you want, that's where you want your cube then.
Yeah, the
Click-
mouse
click-
is not working.
Yeah, click the cube and pull it over there. And that's it.
Okay, gotcha.
And then make, no box slider, no mesh render on it. Just make this custom icon. And then now, when you look at it, see it says cube with the custom icon. And you just call this, what did I call it? Teleport destination. Yeah, just call it that. Hit enter. And then now pull the teleport destination into the teleport trigger. Yeah, that's it. Oh, it only shows the name if you use if you don't use like a texture. If you use like one of their icons, like one of those icons shows the name. Yeah, those icons are just like, yeah, it's a matter of preference. I don't even need to see the name. Like if you know that all your teleport triggers or whatever are these orange dots, then you know what that is for yourself. It's mostly for your own kind of organization capability.
So, the teleport destination is not in the same location as the trigger that you put the object.
It's just right now. It's a nothing. It's just an object like that has no behavior. It has nothing yet. Think of this as just like a position for us. This is just like something that you can then later change.
Oh,
You get it?
yeah.
Now what we're going to do is we're going to write a script. So create a script. I think you're the only one who hasn't done it yet. So make a new C# script and call it teleport trigger. So the great thing about using these game objects, like when I first started doing Unity, I did I would bring a cube here and then I would click it and then I'd be like, okay, so this is a position of negative x 1.7, negative y 2.5, and z 0.8. All right, then I would write it down on a piece of paper, and then, and then I would go in and I would like type that into my code, like, okay, teleport to that position. So that works too, but this is just easier because if we could just reference this cube, then later, say I want to teleport somewhere else, I just move this somewhere else, and that's where I'll teleport. Instead of having to write down the exact X, Y, and Z, because those change.
Do you also copy the cube and use it for a different teleporter?
Yes. Well, the whole thing you'll be able to copy, the whole teleport trigger. That's kind of the idea. Just like how we had the trigger story, same thing. Now you're able to copy this whole trigger story function. You'll be able to do the same thing with the teleporter. So now here's where the magic happens. So, you got your script, just an empty script right now, teleport trigger. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create a public transform teleport destination. So that's our destination object.
Just have to have the same name as.
Nah, it's just like a variable name.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always like, after the type is like the name of the variable. That's kind of whatever you want it to be. Again, when I first started doing Unity, I named all my variables test 1, test 2, test 3. But it can get pretty confusing pretty fast if you do that. So I try to teach you guys like good naming convention. I name all my files like that too. When I save things, I save like client 1, project 2, date, timestamp, then like version 1. Like, and it's and an underscore between everything, because between each word, because then it's actually searchable when you search through your computer. If you don't put underscores in between words, the words aren't searchable anymore. So things like that are important. But yeah, so check it out. So then here, after this void, we're gonna do void on trigger enter collision, or wait, collider, wait, Sorry, collider other object. So when something enters this trigger, which will be other object, now this will technically work with not just the player, this will work with any physics object. If it just enters the portal, zoop, it'll just get transported to the other place. It'll work with any object, the teleporter. But in this instance, we just want it to work with the player.
The on-trigger enter, how come it doesn't auto on-trigger enter?
Because it's I don't know why it doesn't do that. Because it's a function. Yeah, I'm not really sure why it doesn't do that.
So if our player pushed one of the benches into the...
If the bench was a physics object.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yep. It would teleport to the other place. It will actually test that so you can see it. So on trigger enter, collider other object, then it's just one line. It's just other object dot position, dot transform dot position is equal to teleport destination dot position. So you're just basically making that thing's position equal to the position of the destination cube that we had. We can also play a sound effect on the portal, like zzz, or something like that. So here, right after that, we could also do get component audio source play. So we can do that too. Because what's a teleporter without like a nice whoosh sound, you know? So once you got this, keep this up here for another 10 seconds, 15. Everyone good? Okay. So now we go back to Unity and let's just prepare our object again. So click your teleport trigger, your sphere thing, which should be called teleport trigger right now, and add component audio source. And let me just grab one real quick for everyone. Like no. That's not bad. I like that one. Yeah.
I suppose we can get the actual one from Star Trek.
What's it? What would I search for that?
Star Trek teleporter sound.
Hey. Yeah. Too much going on there.
Fair enough.
Yeah, just a simple sound right now. I'll put it up on Slack here. So and then while I'm already here, let me get a gunshot sound too. That's terrible. play with it. Okay, and let's get like a not bad, right? Yeah. Okay, so we got our gunshot, we got a teleport sound, and we got like a gushy like got like sound. Got shot like ugh. That's fine. Just like that. Okay. Blood splat. Okie dokie. Putting all these up here. Gunshot. Blood splat. Alright, so okay. So grab the teleport sound, which starts with like 220163 or whatever, name of the file, and put in an audio clip here. Make sure play on awake is not true on the teleport trigger. And let me show you. If I put a sphere here, rigid body.
Into the portal.
Oops, I forgot to put the script on it. And yeah, make sure you put your teleport trigger script onto your teleport trigger. And then down here you'll notice it wants a teleport destination object. So put your teleport destination object in the component and it should be ready to roll.
Into the portal.
So I'm gonna enter the portal.
Into the portal. Into the portal.
It does it. It's just because I'm moving it. It overrides me for a second. So I'm gonna. Come on. See? Saw that?
Into the portal. Into the portal. Into the portal.
So anything that goes. Oops. It's just I can't like. Oh god. See, it's gonna go. It's gonna go. And see? So it works with any object, including us. So now if I'm a player and I walk my way there.
Welcome to Sky City.
Thanks. And
Into the portal.
I enter the portal. There I am. Right? My level 2. And there's the bad guy that I'm gonna kill later. Okay. So you see, like it's not very complicated code to do it. You just have to kind of understand the concept. You know, you got an area that has to trigger this effect, and then you got a destination. And now it's, you know, changing that destination is as easy as just moving this destination object and that's where you'll end up. And not just you, but any object that goes in there. Now again, if you wanted to specify this trigger enter to only work with the player, you would do if other object tag is equal to player or something like that, like how we did with the ball. We made sure that only the ball affected the net and not like the body parts of the goalie or whatever. So we got that part. Now we gotta get on the next part, which is, I would say, we could do the shooting part now. So now for the shooting part, there's one thing that you have to do to prepare your player camera. So inside the Google VR folder, if you go inside, I believe prefabs, and then in there should be UI. Inside the prefabs folder, there should be a UI folder, and then in there should be a GVR reticle pointer. So that reticle pointer, I believe, if you just pull it into the camera, make it a child object of it, you should get, let me see, yeah, you see how I have this dot in the middle of my screen now? So basically,
Welcome to Sky City.
it basically gives me like an aim. Okay. In the prefabs, and then you go to UI, and there should be GVR reticle pointer. So if you take that object and you make it, you put it in the camera. So like you put it like in as a child object of the camera. All you do is just drag it and just plop it in the camera. It's not like necessary, but it's it's good for the player to know where the middle of the aim is when they're aiming. Okay. So, but you have that. Now what we're gonna do? Nice. So let me see here. We're gonna be working on the player script now. Just want to see if this AI, if I make it follow the player, will it just follow right off the bat? It didn't used to do that. Yeah, it does. We'll figure that out in a sec. But oops, I'm gonna hide this cube.
Yeah, it's having problems with Wi-Fi right now.
Oh, if you need, you should be able to hop into my Wi-Fi. I got the hotspot right here. Just VR Bootcamp. Password VR Bootcamp.
Same spelling?
Yep. Well, just no lowercase. Lowercase v. All lowercase, just VR Bootcamp.
Do you know why the teleport trigger script wouldn't give me a public flip for the teleport destination?
Let me see. Public transform.
Yeah, it's not giving me
You need to type this. You need to put another
There's the
arrow bracket
portal.
there.
I
And play is
added
echo.
the teleport trigger script.
You have to save. And then I'll give it a
Then
sec.
we had to add the destination right here. And then you have to drag the destination.
I just drag it through them.
That
Put it
teleport
flat,
destination is your object, right?
Yeah, so
That's what you want
I
to
just
drag
started
in.
walking towards it and then I disappeared on the next floor.
You walk forward to, when you go to that, the water.
Yeah, because that sphere is what's
Yeah, so let me see here.
detecting anything entering it,
Mhm.
then
And what are you?
I'm on the next level.
With enemies on?
Yeah, and I actually drag my player into the enemies. And
Yeah,
that's
same thing.
coming
You
after
made
me now,
play
so yeah.
rotate.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's like that.
Let's go avoid them.
So yeah, and then here you have the
And then I do the
open parentheses, close parentheses. That's just how you get the component.
Okay.
And now just give it a sec to compile, and then you should see it update.
I'll do this one.
And there it is. And then you put it in there.
Which one is that?
Oh, because you have play on the wake,
Oh.
so the sound effect plays right when it starts.
Is it working for me?
I don't know. You can get into like Yahoo and stuff. But
What's wrong?
you can get into Yahoo because Slack I can't. Yeah, so.
Does the teleport destination does not exist in the current context? You should double click that. Yeah, so just make sure that it's spelled exactly the same as you wrote teleport there. That's the only, it's just the typo. Yeah, it's now saved. And, yeah, so now you should be able to put your teleport trigger down there. Yeah, and then now it wants the teleport destination, so that's your teleportation and put it in there. Yep.
The sound level
Yeah, you're already good. Yeah.
and so I'll look at that thing.
So let me see it again, the teleport trigger, just I want to make sure it's around there, right? Okay. So see, I don't know where that is. You need to make sure that you know, like, that the trigger is actually, you know, to see it's all the way up here. Yes, well, I'll probably put that up.
Yeah, maybe I'll just program it. I just do the thing where, like I said, to the pool.
Okay. Just make the radius of this. Yeah. Yep. And then the destination should be on there, right?
Yep.
Just make sure it's not like on the ground. You don't want to like fall through.
That
Or a
works.
little bit of a fine if you like call.
When you start your vacation,
Try that.
Yeah,
Try going.
and we talk.
because I think when you teleport, you're going straight down.
Oh, yeah. But, so by returning the ball, or the destination.
I don't know if that would actually work. I think you would have to put a script in so that it repositions you.
Yeah.
That's my guess. I'm going to come see
What was the program that you were doing today?
Oh yeah, the Google VR thing. Yeah, you gotta grab here, 3 times, UI, and then this is the pointer. You use that reticle pointer, which makes that a little dot in the middle of your screen basically. You wanna grab the player. Yeah, so just, you want to open the player and then you want to pull this into the camera. And that will now give you this like dot. See the dot in the middle of the screen?
And that's where I can shoot in space.
Yeah, that will be kind of like your aim basically.
Can you explain again how this destination, the trigger, the open destination, the cube object is how, what is a lot of?
It's just, think of it, it's just an object. It's just a placeholder object. You have one object here, which is your sphere, and you have the cube, which is like over here somewhere.
Right.
This is a transform, right? Right? Just like every other, and it has a position, right? It has an X, Y, and Z position,
Right.
which is like here.
Right.
And then when something enters here, you're just changing its X, Y, and Z to equal to this. And it just goes there. You get it? That's all you're doing. You're just literally just changing the X, Y, and Z position to the X, Y, and Z position of this destination object. And it's like a teleport effect. And you play a sound and it goes like zoop, you know, but it's not actual movement. It is movement, but it's just
You're
literally
changing the object basically.
you're just changing its position basically. It's like a super simple way of doing it.
So if we were to have the enemy following you, then would that be following, I guess,
The player.
The player?
Yep. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do next. So So we got this set up, and when he comes back, we're gonna do the player. So basically, now what we want to do is we want to again open our player script. So if you click the player, I believe it's the VR player script. That's what we have here. So you're gonna open up that script. And now let me remember. Sometimes I don't remember how this script goes. So raycast hit point. Okay. It's gonna be something like this. I'm gonna modify it, but basically, it never lets me paste. I hate this so much. It's just like it's like a Unity script editor bug. It just will not let you copy and paste from like another page into it. It just pretends like nope, won't let you paste. Like I don't know why. Like it works with Visual Studio or whatever. It never does this on Mac. I swear to God, it's like a conspiracy to make you use Visual Studio. So yeah, so you're gonna type. So this is also a new concept that we're gonna be doing right now, and it's called a raycast. So a raycast, since we're not like a bullet is almost instantaneous for all intents and purposes. We're not gonna instantiate like a ball like we did before, and then the ball goes really fast. Because a bullet goes so fast that you don't really see it. For all intents and purposes, it's almost like a laser is how we're going to do it. So to shoot a ray in Unity, it's acts kind of like a laser. It has a starting point and a direction. So it kind of goes and until it hits something. And that something usually is like some sort of collider. So it hits it, and then it can give you some details about what it hit, where it hit, and a bunch of other things. So we don't need any of those specifics. We just need to know what we hit. So which guy, because there might, we might have like 10 AIs. So we need to know specifically which AI was hit. That's the only thing that we need to know. So what we're going to do here is we're going to type something like this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create array. So you're going to type here. So again, open up your VR player script. So this is going to be in the player script, the one that did the movement. So just open that up. It's you can find it by clicking the player, and then it's right there, the VR player script. So here we're going to create a new array. It's going to be ray, my ray, so your ray or whatever, is equal to new array, open parentheses, then it wants the starting position. So the starting position is going to be transform dot position, so that's the origin. And the direction is going to be the direction of our forward facing of our camera. So same thing that we've been doing kind of so far. You can almost see it. It's already here where you have the player speed. So I'm just typing the same thing, camera dot main dot transform dot forward. So now this ray starts from our transform position, so from where our head is, and it goes out forward. Yeah, that's it. And then semicolon right here. Then let me just pull up my reference here. Yeah. Then what you do is there's an if statement here, and it looks like this. So it's if physics dot raycast, and then open parentheses, my ray, comma, out, hit. And yeah, before we do the hit, yeah, open, crap. Yeah, so just before this, up here, create a type of hit. So raycast hit, hit, or my hit, or whatever, but let's just call it hit for now. So raycast hit is a type that contains a bunch of things in there about the hit. It has like I said, it has the position of where the hit happened. It even has the angle that the hit happened at and stuff. So we don't need any of that complex stuff, but we are going to need the object that was hit, and that's contained inside raycast hit. So is a ray, and there's a raycast hit. So if physics raycast, so this is where the actual ray gets shot. So, and it's basically a true or false. If it hits something, it's true. If it doesn't hit anything, it just, this if statement, nothing happens in here. So if physics raycast, my ray, out, hit. So whatever the result of this physics raycast is, it will be outputted to this hit object. And you close that second parentheses like that. Open a curly bracket, enter a few times, close a curly bracket, and then this is where we're gonna do whatever happens when our ray hit an object. So I'm gonna save here, and here's what we're gonna do, right? So we're gonna do if, open parentheses, hit dot transform, or hit dot transform dot tag is equal to, so double equals like this, quote, and then here type enemy AI, just like that. And later we're going to create a tag called enemy AI, and we're going to tag all our enemies as enemy AI. So now every time this raycast hits something that's tagged as enemy AI, there will be some function in here. So close this parentheses, open a curly bracket, enter a few times, close the curly bracket, and then this is where the magic's gonna happen. So, not quite yet, but we will. So, this is what this whole block of code should look like. And we're going to come back to this in a second. The other thing now is, yeah, so I want to add the gunshot sound to the player. So go back to Unity, and in our player object, we're going to add a component, audio source. And not play on awake, and we're gonna put the gunshot sound on our player because our player is gonna be making the gunshot sound. So just like that. So make an audio source on the player and put the gunshot audio clip in there. I'll put this script up here too again if you need it. So this is all in the player script. And then once you have that audio source on the player, inside this hit here, just make sure whenever you open a curly bracket that you appropriately close it too. So yeah, inside, all the way inside here, you do get component audio source play. So there's going to be a little bit more complexity coming here in a little bit, but this is just to illustrate the beginning stage of this. So in essence right now what we have, it's going to be more like a machine gun. So literally as you're looking at stuff, it's just gonna be like it's gonna keep doing it, which later on there's gonna be a way to actually limit to like every 1 second shoot, so it'll be more like a pistol or something like that. But for now you'll see what this is gonna do. So get component audio source dot play if all these conditions are true. So if a raycast fires out, this raycast does return true if it hits a wall as well, but that's why we're doing this check. If hit is tagged as enemy AI, only then will we play a gunshot sound. So we don't want it to play a gunshot sound if we're looking at walls. We only want it to play that gunshot sound when we look at a zombie or whatever, and then there will be some other function here like make the zombie's animation fall over and some other features. So we're gonna get back to this in a sec, but before we do that, what we're gonna do is over here in what's it called? Yeah, so we're gonna grab our zombie over here. Okay. And we're gonna go to its tags, and we're gonna add a new tag. And again, tag is up here at the top part. So add a tag. Make sure it's case sensitive, just like how we named it in there. So capital Z, so zombie, and then AI, both capital. And then just adding the tag isn't enough. You actually have to then click the object again and then tag it as the tag that you just created. So tag your zombie as zombie AI. I'm not 100% sure if the
Add tag and then just give it a name.
yeah, add tag, and then in there press the little plus icon and create zombie AI tag, and then click this. Oh, not zombie AI. Sorry, did I type zombie AI? Enemy AI. My bad. Sorry about that. If you need to edit a tag, you can just delete it and add it another one. No, you can't. Okay. Oops. Just add another one. It's okay. Enemy AI. Sorry, not zombie AI. That's the name of the tag. So
Takes you a ball.
yeah, we have we were using that in like the day 4 or something, I think. So yeah, tag it as enemy AI, not zombie AI. My bad. So then what I want you to do, just to kind of speed this along a little bit, so we're not always having to walk through this portal and all that, but we'll, you know, when we're done with the game, then we'll put the player back to his starting point, and you know, he'll do his stuff. So take your player object and put it into your second level right off the bat. This is a very common practice to, you know, just test what you're currently working on, and then once you're done, then you pull it all back to the beginning and make it an actual game. So
You want us to the player right up to the thing?
yeah, just put your player as if it was already teleported and all that. Put him to where he's supposed to be. And I'm gonna make my zombie a little bit faster so you can like get to me. So I believe the last thing to make the zombie actually work with the raycast is he has to have a collider. I'm not sure if nav mesh agent already does that. I can actually run a test right now because I forgot if he does that. So yeah, my destination object on enemy AI, I already set it to player, so you can do that as well. So if you click your enemy AI, you can then drag the player as his destination object. And let me just press play and see this. So he's coming. He's coming. There he is. Yeah, it's not. I don't believe it's. Oh, it is. No. Nope. He's right on top of me. So the zombie or the enemy, whatever you have, add a collider to him. So just click the character, add component, and then give him like a capsule collider or something like that. Make the center 1, the height 2, and the radius 1, or not even, that's fine. Something like this.
Make it a trigger also?
No, don't make it a trigger. Just a collider. So let me see.
That's under.
See, every time I look at him now, it's more like a machine gun, like I said. Ah, I'm stuck. Got me cornered. Ah. But yeah, that's the idea. So okay. So now we do need one more quick thing here. That's just, you know, gonna make it. You kind of need it in any kind of shooting game. And that's like a little blood particle effect. So and this will be like a good little refresher, I guess, from before. So let's just do that real quick. So let's create a particle system, and we did this like in the first class. So again, yeah, it's a good little refresher. So just go to game object, particle system, and you should get something like this. And then go over to trusty old Google and look for blood PNG.
Should we attach this to the end?
Not yet. We're gonna create it first. So get a blood PNG of Google. I don't know, pick one. Again, don't pick ones that are like kind of cut off on the sides. Pick some that are like kind of like more circular looking or such. Something like that. So I'm just gonna download that. I'm gonna pull it into Unity. Once you have your blood particle system, your blood texture and a particle system, you're gonna right click in your project to create a material for it. So right click, create material, call it like blood material or something like that. And again, real quick, if you look up here, you change the shader of your blood material from standard to, you go down to particles and you find one like alpha blended or something like that. So your blood material particles alpha blended, and then you pull your texture, your blood texture, into the texture slot. Then when you click your particle system, all the way at the bottom in the renderer, you change it to blood, like that. And we're going to tweak this right now in a sec. So
Where did you change it to particle system?
So you click the particle system, you scroll down all the way to renderer, and that's where it wants the blood material. So the material that we just created with the new texture. Okay. Yeah, you gotta make a blood material. No, it's a material you create, like in there, like a material assets, you create material. Call it like blood material. And then you change it to a different type. So instead of standard, you go to particles. And this one's good alpha blended. And then scroll up there, find your blood texture, get down, and pull it in there. Not anything there. Yep. And now your particle system, did you create one yet?
Oh, it did.
Scroll down. Yeah, click it. Just click it. Yeah, and then scroll all the way down. And open the renderer. Yeah. And then pull, see where it says default particle. That's the material. You want your new material which you created. You want it in there. Yep, just like that. So, okay. And did you got the material in? Blood material? Yeah, so you just go all the way down to renderer. That's where you can pull your new blood material in here. Yeah, so you click this, and here, the shader. You're not doing standard, you're going down to particles, and use one of these, like alpha blended. Yep.
Something like squares.
Yeah, so you do, it's the same thing. So click your blood material and change it to, oh, that's your texture. Yeah, it's a texture you guys are using.
So,
You need to find one that's actually transparent.
oh,
Yeah, you need one like, try to find another one.
I got something.
You can tell by the little squares behind it. Sometimes like you click,
Oh,
you see it has little squares behind it. Yeah. You would just pull it off there. But again, make sure that it's transparent. Let me see. Yours isn't transparent either. Your image. So I'm just gonna put this one on Slack, just so you guys don't spend too much time finding a blood texture. So. Yep. So it's right here. So we can tweak this. So I'm gonna just kind of try to find the right numbers here, because I don't know like off the top of my head, but usually the start speed, you want it way slower. So you make the start speed something like 0.25 or something like that. Then you also want the start size to be like, you know, maybe like 1.5. And then the problem here is that they're kind of popping in and out of existence like this. So in order to fix that, you go to color over lifetime, check that on, and then you click this white bar, and then in here you have these keyframes. So the top keyframes are for alpha. So in order to create some more keyframes up here, you just click one here, click one here, and then you grab the first keyframe, make it an alpha of 0, grab the last keyframe, make it an alpha of 0, and you will get them fading in and out like that. Now you can obviously tweak the amount as well. Something like that. The last thing is you don't want it to be looping. You want it to just happen once. So if I click simulate, so that's 5 seconds long, which is obviously like very bloody. So I'm gonna make it like 1 second long. And if I press simulate, it'll do that and it'll kind of end. So it's very like anticlimactic. So I'm just gonna make that loop again, just so I can fix it. So the problem here is it's very kind of far from him. So I'm going to put the particle system a little bit more down, and the emission, make the rate a little bit bigger, and make the shape a little bit smaller. Something like that. So now if it's not looping, and if when he dies, it should go like that. Something like that. So again, the lifetime is still way too long. So yeah, that's about the right amount. Okay, so here are the numbers. So particle system right here. So duration 1 second. Start lifetime 1.5. Start speed like 0.64. Start size 1.5. Then here in emission, if you open this, rate over time 20. Also make sure looping is not checked. So right here, uncheck looping at the top. And the shape, you could use cone, but you have to tweak this here. So, you know, you could type it in if you wanted like mine. So angle 54 in the shape and radius 0.24. Yeah, this isn't very important. It's just a little effect. It's good to have. And that's it. So now if you press simulate, you can see what it looks like when it plays back. Something like that. And then just put the particle system, once you got it like this. Again, we can come back and tweak it. But once you have the particle system in there, put it inside the guy, inside the enemy, as a child object. And then make its position all 0. So like, I guess that starts at his feet. It's not that good. So maybe, and then move it up a little bit to like the middle of his torso or something like that. But yeah, just make sure that the particle system is inside the guy.
When we look at him, there's good bullets out there.
Yeah, you have to put a collider on the guy. Yeah.
Is that by component?
Yep. In the physics capsule collider.
Oh.
Which kind of capsule color?
Just capsule collider, and then change the center to 1, and height to 2. You just pull it in, and then you just make the camera on it. Yeah.
So you make it, and then you were saying you change the position?
Yeah, the particle system, once you have it, put it inside the character, yeah. And then just when it's inside the character, nice. When it's inside the character, then once you're done with it, disable it. So just disable the particle system object, because we don't need the blood to be flowing right off the bat. We just need it to flow when we tell it to. Okay, so
Sorry, what is it? Disable?
yeah, it's right here. Just it's a little check mark. Okay, So we got a happy parasite with particle system blood. Let me.
This capsule is kind of more in a sphere. Did you have to change?
Yeah, so change the height to 2. Change the center to 1 in Y. Center of Y 1. Height of 2. And then it'll look more like a capsule. Okay, so now what we want to do. So there's a few things that we're kind of gonna go back and forth between, but I'm just kind of doing it in a back and forth fashion so you can see each of the parts instead of just writing out the code in just one of the things, and then like it won't really make sense where the connections happen. So if we go back to our animator here, so now we have our blood particle system, we have our gunshot sound. The last thing that we're missing is the falling over animation. So what we're gonna do is, as you can guess, we're gonna drag in our falling over animation. So mine's called falling back death. So pull that in to the animator. Make sure you save your project to it. Just Control S, Command S, just in case you don't want to lose what you've been working on. So falling back death. And now we got to add another parameter. So right here in parameters, you're going to press the plus icon, add a new type of boolean, and this one we're going to call dead. So something like that. So just create a new parameter by pressing plus right here, make it a type of bool.
Should walking not be checked?
Yeah, just keep it unchecked. It doesn't matter in here, but yeah, just keep it unchecked. It gets set in the script anyway, so even if you check it here, the script will override what you do. Yeah, so new parameter, dead, right? And now what we want to do is, you guessed it, make a transition from walking in place to dead to falling back death.
Why is it dying? Yeah, what's the rule?
What?
What is the rule that we set up that when does it die? When we hit, right?
Yeah, we didn't do that yet. So far it just plays a sound. So we're just preparing the animator with appropriate animation right now.
So I guess what I'm wondering is that would that always die from walking or would that die from idle?
So we'll do both. Don't worry, you're getting ahead of me. Yeah, we'll do an arrow from idle as well, because sometimes in some very, I mean, honestly, like 99% of the time you'll probably die walking too. But there will be that 1% of the time where he will have to die while he's standing.
If you import the file, like, sir, I mean the following thing, sir, something what you need to do to bring it into the animator?
You just pull it in here. Yeah, so just make these arrows. So one arrow to the falling back death. It's same thing, fix this timeline here, make it like happen quick. And then add a condition if dead true. And then do the same thing for the idle. Same thing, make transition like this. And then same thing, pull the timeline back. Do the exit time plus condition dead true. So if dead is true, it goes from idle to this. If dead is true, it goes from idle to this. I'm gonna come around and make sure everyone's got that. Yeah. Just turn off the exit time thing, and then just make sure you add that condition. Yeah. So it just probably just doesn't show like the name of the animation. But it's, you want to preview it, all in here. Click on that one. And then, yeah. It just sometimes mixed mode just doesn't like have the name of the animation. If you ever want to rename it, you just go here. Sometimes it just imports like that. Yeah, and then just let me see these arrows. Yeah, so same thing, just pull those timelines back and make them shorter and no exit time. And then scroll down and add the condition. Oh yeah, so you need to make parameters. So make a new parameter, bool, and call this one dead. Just lowercase, keep it consistent. And then make these arrows only have that. So you can uncheck those. You don't need to check those. Those are checked in and out in code. Yeah. So now you can scroll down there and add a condition. And only if dead is true will it go to the dead animation. So change that. Doesn't want you to be dead. And then do the same with the other arrow. Add a condition. And then fix those transitions. So you have it. So make it shorter and then no exit time. So no, it doesn't go back. So don't get ahead of me. Because he's dead, right? Unless he's rising from the dead. Yeah, so it does not. What did you do? If dead is equal to false, then he rises back from the dead. Is that what you did? Which would work, yeah. I mean, if he's
Zombie.
yeah. But that's not what we're doing right now. But it would work, yeah. It's just we won't really have any point in code where they resurrect.
You got it? Yeah.
Okay. So, just make sure that if you got it uppercase here, that it's uppercase in the code as well. When you do the walking is true.
Everything looks good.
Just make the timeline, just make it quicker. Make that timeline way earlier and shorter. And no exit time. Okay, has exit time. Then add a condition. So dead. Yep. And then the same with the other one. Yep. And then fix the timeline. Yep. That's good. You got yours? Good. Yeah, you have to add a condition, so you have to add. So dead. No, that's fine. No, not walking. Remove it. Yeah, remove just click the line. Yeah, so dead. So click the little arrow. Click the little arrow right there. Patience. Yes. Dead. Yeah. And then the same thing with the other one. So it'll only turn to that when that is true. Yep. Okay. So now we actually have to make that dead equal to true. So now this is one of the parts where the code gets a little interesting, right? So that's okay. So let me just explain how this works, right? So in our enemy AI script, under this void update, we're going to create a new void, and this is going to be actually a custom void. So it's a custom function that we're going to call it whatever we want. But we're going to call it something specific. So, and it's going to be a public void. So now check this out, right? So right here you type public void die. Okay? Open parentheses, close parentheses, open curly bracket, close curly bracket. So just like that.
Why are you doing that in update?
It's not an update, it's after update. It's another void.
Can you just put it on the top?
You can put it at the top, but like just put it under here. Just so we can stay consistent. But yeah, it doesn't matter where you put it, as long as it's not in any of these voids. So a custom void, like a public void, anything that's public, again, I go back to kind of how I was saying earlier, anything that's public is accessible to another script or to another game object. So since this is a public function of dying, so I want another game object to be able to make the zombie die, basically. So that's why I'm making this a public void die. So what this allows me to do is I can reference this enemy AI, and I can do enemy AI dot die, and he will just do whatever is in here. Which in this instance, all we're actually going to do is we're going to play the animation, turn off the particle system, and make him stop moving. That's basically what dying means for us right now. Okay, does that make sense? So check it out. So the same as what we did here, my animator set bool walking is true. Here I'm going to do my animator set bool dead true. Now for you it was uppercase here, so make sure that this is consistent to whatever your parameter was. So this is the first step, to play back the dead animation. Now our agent is still actually going to move, so that's something that we're going to fix as well. Then the second thing is my agent dot speed is equal to 0. It's just a really simple way of stopping him. You could just remove the whole my agent component at this point, but you know, I don't want to complicate it right now. I'm just doing it a very simple way. So my agent dot speed is equal to 0. So whenever this die function is called, this will happen. So now here's the interesting part, right? So we need to call this die animation only on the thing that we're aiming at, right? And it has to be specific. It's specific to where whatever the, so we have a ray cast, remember? It's literally the bullet flies. So you got your character, he's got the aim, right? He's aiming. Guy comes up, he looks at that guy, and the ray cast happens. All of a sudden, ray cast is true. It's tagged as an enemy AI. Okay, that's true. Plays a sound, and then it tells that specific object to die. Not like the object that's behind him that's still trying to make his way through the labyrinth. It's the specific one that you're looking at. So there's an interesting way to actually pull that specific object and tell it to die. So this is how you do it, right? So now that you have this die function is ready to go, we're probably going to add another thing here for the particle system to turn on to make blood. But you don't need it right now, but we'll do it later. You go to the VR player script now, and then here inside this raycast, right, after we're playing the sound, here's what you do, right? So remember how I said the hit object contains whatever was hit, including the actual game object and any component that's attached to that game object. So in order to get this function die, we need to pull the enemy AI component off of this object. So remember, everything's a component. Every script that you write is a component. One script can talk to another script by pulling it as a component and then doing something to it. So here's how you do it, right? So hit dot get component, oh actually no, hit dot game up, no, hit dot transform dot game object. So that now has referenced the game object that we've hit dot get component, and then the name of the component is the name of our script, enemy AI. You see it auto completes it for me too. So I'm getting the enemy AI script that we wrote off of the object that we hit, open parentheses, close parentheses, dot die. See, it's right there. It's letting me auto complete it. So the function that we wrote, because it's a public, now I can tell from another script, from the VR player script, I can pull the enemy AI script of the thing that I hit and tell it to die. Open parentheses, close parentheses, semicolon.
Why do you do it in here and not in...
So the reason why I'm doing it is because only the player knows who he actually hit. There could be 10 zombies. Think of it. So each one knows how to die, but someone has to tell them to die, which in our instance is the player. Once the player looks at him, and then you are like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Die? Okay. And then you die, right? So that's the reason why you do it in here. Now this is where the Unity magic happens, because you're using simple scripts across multiple objects and you're defining the interactions between them. So it's only logical that, like, if you have 100 zombies, you know, they're not all dying at the same time. They don't know when they die. You know, they only die when someone tells them to die, or when they get hit by a bullet or something like that. So die could happen, you know, if a ball hits him or something like that. But in this instance, we're literally giving control to the player. Only when the player looks at the zombie, he just dies. That's the idea. So
The die function is within the enemy AI.
yes. So that's why we're getting the component enemy AI right in here, off the object that was hit. It's a specific enemy AI. It's not just any enemy AI. It's the one that we hit. So I believe, let me just, because I got really deep into explaining it. I think this should work. Let me just test this real quick. But there's a few more things that we want to add here to make this even more polished, right? But watch. It's still probably going to do the buggy sound thing. But yeah, so I'm going to go. And dead, right? If I keep looking at him, it's still going to do that, because he's still, even though he's dead, quote unquote, he's really not. He's still the same guy. And he's still got this capsule collider, see? So every time I look at the capsule collider, see? It's gonna do all the same behavior, right? So in order to just make sure that, you know, that doesn't happen, like even though he's dead, I'm just gonna disable the capsule collider on death, for example. So to do that, you go to the enemy AI script, and you just modify the die function. So this is again where the beauty happens, is now you can keep adding complexity, you know, to your code without having to pull it in 5 different places. You know, you just do it in this die function. So to destroy a component off of yourself, you just have to type destroy like this. So the zombie AI currently has a capsule collider. So you just do destroy and you type capsule collider in there like that, and that will basically just delete the capsule collider off of the zombie once he's dead. So now if I do that, oops, capsule collider is typed but a variable is expected. Sorry about that. You can't do it like that. You have to get component capsule collider. You have to get the specific capsule collider, and that's the one you destroy. I wish it was as easy as just typing capsule collider. But yeah. So now, yeah, make sure you do these arrow brackets. There's the only time you actually have to type it like this is when you get a component. So I'm getting the capsule collider off myself and I'm destroying it. Myself being the zombie right now. So this is all happening in the die function. So now let's trace this, right? So on update, I'm creating array. Every time I'm looking, I'm like, I'm always checking. I'm always checking. The moment something walks in my path and the tag is enemy AI, I'm playing the gunshot sound and I'm getting the enemy AI component off of the thing I hit and I tell it to die. Then the thing that has the die function here says like, oh, I'm dying now. So I'm gonna set my animator to dead And then the animator is like, oh, so dead is true. What happens then? You just, the arrow pulls you down to the dead animation. Then I set the speed to 0, and then I'm destroying the capsule collider. And this will give you the intended effect. So now, if I go here to battle my zombie thing, I walk up to him, and he's done. We didn't do that yet. So we need to enable the blood particle system. Same thing in the die function. So check this out. So it's as easy as, so it's in there, remember? We disabled it, right? But it's here. We just need to turn it on, basically. And when do we turn it on? In the die function, right? So watch. So then all you do is you go to the enemy AI again, and we have to first define what this object is. Where is this object? Who is this object? So again, just do right here. Oh shit, why did I have my destination object in? Oh yeah, sorry, that's right. Yeah, so right under my destination object, you do public transform blood particles or whatever, right? We define it as a public. And then over here, you know, once you've defined that public transform blood particles, you go back to your enemy AI, and in here you'll see your enemy AI script now wants blood particles right there. Then you pull the blood particle system off from inside of him, and you, oh, sorry, wrong place. Then you put it in there as the blood particles. So now when I go to my die script, so I go down to die, right after the capsule collider gets destroyed, I say blood particles game object set active true, like that. So I'll come around and make sure everyone's got this. But say now I make a few copies of this guy, right? Like this. And then I get to some business. So I get in here. And here they come. See? See? It knows which one I'm aiming at, so it knows which one is dying. Get it? So that's why the player tells it to die. Of course, you don't have to do it like that. Like I said, in Unity, there's multiple ways of achieving the same effect, always. But this is just the way that I chose to do it right now, for simplicity's sake, to kind of explain it. Again, it might seem kind of complicated right now, but again, if we just break it down, we really only have two major components. We have a player and we have an enemy. And it's the relationship between them. Player has code for control, so moving around. Player has, you know, code for aiming and for shooting. And the zombie has predictably what? Control for finding the player and control and code for dying. And, you know, I don't know what else it has code for. Not much else, honestly. It doesn't even attack yet. We got about 20 minutes left, so I think, you know, we have time to do attack and health. Yeah, I'll scroll up. Yep. So I'm gonna come around and make sure everyone's got it working. Dot name objects. Dot set. Dot set active. Open parentheses. Yeah. Open parentheses. True. And then close parentheses, semicolon. Yeah, I'll zoom it out just a tad.
system? Yeah. So like
Okay, so you have to go back there, and then you have to click on unaffected symbols. I believe you have probably some bad cases. Oh, parentheses, you gotta close it. You open it and you close it. Yeah. So yeah, then the last thing, you have to click the guide, and you have to define its blood particles. You want that particle system. The last thing you have to do in the die function. So save your VR player first of all. Let me go back. Let me see that. Also make sure that particle system is okay. Okay, he'll come to you. Let's go. Okay, just shoot it. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Lit.
One thing, trigger story into one player, right?
No.
No?
No, you do.
No. But then I thought that's how trigger.
No, oh, you want it to go after, yes, you have to grab the zombie, and its destination object is currently the cube.
Okay.
So you need to grab your player object, which is that guy,
Yeah.
and make that the destination object.
Gotcha.
Now he'll follow you. We should all. Good. Do it. Yeah, we also make this the center of the castle. That is not like that. There might be one.
I don't know. I think we should. We did. You did like that.
Was you able to move before?
Yeah. Because we tested
There's a Oh yeah, it's I believe it's your name of your file is VR player, but the name of your class is like this. So it's those are articles. So this just needs to be the same as the name of the file. That's usually the problem. And now should be able to put this.
looking for rectangle
Wall
wall.
and everything. Oh yeah, did you tag him? Yeah, make sure the tag is the same. Yeah, so see, your tag lowercase, and we get tag here, uppercase. It won't know. Pretty sensitive. I can imagine like how stressful that must be, like if you're following like a tutorial or something, and you just wrote something lowercase, and it's just like the whole program doesn't work. You know,
It is reasons why I do
yeah, he did. So now you should be able to just clone him around and make a bunch of them. But you don't have to do that yet. We still have a few more steps to do. Is he dying?
Okay.
Is he dying?
No, so a few questions actually. I can't, the first question is I couldn't put the dot for my perspective. And second, whenever I start, I'm just on the corner even if I position my camera elsewhere.
You don't position your camera, you position your player. I've told you this multiple times. So your camera always centers itself in the middle of the
Yeah,
player.
but that's what I meant. So my player is positioned anywhere,
So let's put it right here, let's see.
and when I start, I'm on the corner somewhere, like that.
Good enough. I mean, that's where you sure you don't have two players? I think I see two players here.
You do?
It might be. Looks to me like you've got two cameras, two players. Let's see what's going on here. Camera should be. Nope. Player. You should be. And this also. See, if you put the reticle pointer somewhere random, you should always put it like straight in there. You know, the safest way to do it is if you're literally pulling it in. You know, I'm not sure how you pulled it in. You might have pulled it in here somewhere. Then you just pull it straight in here, and see it already starts where it needs to be. See, it has a certain like -2Z. It just starts. So that's the emulator, my bad. If you go in the UI, this guy, you just pull it straight onto the camera, like how I said, it will place itself exactly where it needs to be. Yeah, it's there. See it?
But then why am I still in the corner from that?
Well, because that's where you are.
The
See, that's where you are.
So you have to open
You
up
just
your.
really need to get used to like going around the side, because you can't tell from certain angles, right? So
No,
we
no, it's
just
right
put
to
that
go on.
right here.
Go back into that folder and then drag the filter over to it.
Did you kill my immunity?
No, I don't believe I did. Oh, it's on the side here.
No, it's under prefabs and.
So my
Prefabs.
next question is, when I see the enemy,
UI,
Put it right here.
and then it's this one right there. Then you drag that into your player.
So let's see.
let's just go through it.
Yeah, yeah. So let's see. So your enemy is untagged, first of all. Needs to be tagged as enemy AI, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
And let's try that again. There you go. Well, you have to also then, in the enemy AI, you have to define the what particle, right? Which is in here, and then it's right there. Okay? Let's try that again. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's good. You guys working over here?
I think it's a blood splatter.
Let's see. Where's your guy?
Um,
We have multiple clones of them now. Where's your original clone?
Oh, exactly.
Okay, so let me see. So that's that. Okay, good. Okay, you're doing in the script. What particles? Don't look like anything. Oops. You might look like it. Let us see. They're very tiny. Maybe that's what it is. I didn't see it from the wall.
Put it on the tag.
Okay. Oh yeah, because it's on right on the beginning. You have to disable it, and if you have it, if you start with it disabled, then it will enable when it's appropriate. Because it just plays right off the bat, so that's why you didn't see it. You get it?
Right.
So come. Did you?
I didn't see.
There. No, it's not playing back. Huh. Color of a lifetime or something weird. I'm not sure. You have like hidden in here or something? Maybe that's it.
Then,
Sometimes it does that.
oh, the blood area?
Yeah, I'm really not sure why it's not showing up. it's appearing, but it's not playing back the particles, but I don't know why. Should be. If I press simulate, see then it, I have no idea why it's not playing. Well, let's just move on to the next one. Is your okay?
No.
So let's put one first.
I'm looking at moving shoot.
Okay, so let's see first here. Let's see if it's.
And I didn't see the option. Take it back.
Yes, so just disable it, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Then is your blood particles, you have to pull them in here into where the script is. And then you also have to, so it's tagged right, and that's for your, yes, you, again, you didn't say the script. Let's try that in. Should work. Run this one.
Sure.
Everything except for the blood.
Same thing, you gotta make the blood like disabled on start.
I did.
No, I mean like the object disabled. No, like just like as if, yeah, turned off. Because the script turns it on. And then click the die again, and you just see, is it scroll down? Yes, you got it pulled in there. It's all good. Now it should work. Because it basically enables the game object once you hit. See, it's doing the same thing. It's doing it again. Wait, play it again. Let me see. Yeah, it's enabling it, but it's not playing back on start. I really.
And also,
Because you have to be Android. Remember I was saying that. Yeah, but there's a way to look around without that. There's a little free look camera script. Did I do that for you or that one time? Yeah, I think I did. Like, I gave you like that. Yeah, I really don't know why it's doing that for two of you. It's not enabling that. But yeah, I guess like just to kind of wrap this up, right? Because we're gonna go a little bit over. But yeah, I wanted to just, mostly just kind of wrap up this day with, kind of like the ultimate use for a lot of these things that you learned so far. The last thing really is that I wanted to show player health and how the player ends up having some consequences from this and dying. Again, we also, everything's kind of a machine gun right now. So if we wanted to kind of, it's almost too easy. You just kind of look at them and they all just kind of fall right over. So a quick way to just make it not machine gun is you open the script right here. And in the VR player, right here where we're doing this raycasting stuff over here, where the die and the audio source stuff happens. So right before that, we're gonna do right up here, right above update, we're gonna create a new variable. I'm just gonna call it float current time is equal to 0. Just like that. Okay, then in update, current time plus equals to time delta time. So we're basically counting seconds. That's all we're doing with this current time. And then in here, in this if hit transform.tag is equal to enemy AI, all of this you're going to wrap in an if statement. So it's going to be if current time is bigger than, I don't know, 1f, so like 1 second. So if 1 second has passed, open a curly bracket and then encompass this whole thing in that. Okay? And then really important, right after the die there, or even before it, doesn't matter, right here, you do current time is equal to 0. So basically, on update, it's counting seconds. If it's been more than 1 second, check if we hit something. If that's true, then set it back to 0. Count again 1 second. Do the check. Set it back to 0. Count again 1 second. So it's basically doing a delay of 1 second before any of this stuff happens here. So counting seconds. Then it checks this, collision. If it's been more than 1 second, set it back to 0 seconds and do this, make someone die. So this basically constricts it so that someone can die only once every 1 second at the least. So this is the effect. So instead of what we had before, where you can just kind of look through them and they all just kind of get machine gunned, this time it'll take a second between each one. See? Whereas before, you've increased this to, I don't know, 5 seconds. It'll take 5 seconds between each one. Okay, so you go in here. See? Not nearly enough time to get away. And then, get away from me. Reloading. Alright. Do you get it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like a little simple counter. That's one thing. And the other thing, so VR player here, there's a few ways you can do this, but one way to definitely do it is like this. So you do public. Well, then we gotta put like a sound effect on the guy too and make him like, we gotta also do the animator. I don't know if we have enough time. Do you guys wanna get into that? It might take me like another like 15 minutes to do the player health damaged and yeah. Okay.
Sorry, so the enemy at the current time it's wrapping up.
You're gonna head up.
Where?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna upload whatever the actual thing. I'm gonna upload this.
Yeah, the video is gonna be up from after the class and stuff. And yeah, I mean in general though, congratulations. You got through the 3 weeks.
Thank you.
Now you're comfortable with the Unity. And yeah, man, I hope to see you at more of our meetups and stuff.
It was good to see you guys.
So the first thing that we have to do is we have to go back to Unity here, to our animator, and in here we are going to add another parameter. So just in the animator parameter and make that another bool parameter, and this one we're going to call attacking.
Is this going to be enemy health or player health?
We're not doing the health yet. We're doing attacking animation first, and then yeah, then it's gonna damage the player health. Enemy doesn't even have health. It's just a one-shot kill. It's a lot more satisfying, I think. Like, I'd rather have like 100 enemies that are one-shot killed than like 10 enemies that are 10-shot killed. Just my preference. Especially in VR. It's really frustrating if you gotta like keep hitting something multiple times. So yeah, attacking, and then you gotta grab the zombie attack animation and pull it in there, or whatever attack animation you have. And the connection is going to be from walking. This is where it kind of starts to get messy. You gotta kind of rearrange it. But yeah, the connection is going to be from walking in place to zombie attack, like that. And the condition is obviously attacking. So if attacking is true, then go to zombie attack. And make one that goes backwards. Yeah, so we're just doing attack. Yes, so just pull up the animator. So pull in your attack animation too. It's okay, we'll take our time with this. And yeah, so arrow from walking in place to zombie attack, and the parameter is attacking is true. That make an arrow back from attacking to walking, and the back arrow is the reverse. So if attacking is false, like that. Attacking true, attacking false. So he's walking. If attacking is true, he'll start attacking. If attacking is false, he'll go back to walking. And then you can do the same thing with idle. Although I don't think it'll ever really happen, but it could, if you really wanted to be like specific about it. Yeah, so it just attacking. Yeah, it just one has attacking true, one has attacking false. So do the same thing with the idle. Attacking true, attacking false. Now you can see how these animators, where the real power lies with these things, is that once you start to work on an actual project and you have a couple animations, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, and some parameters, you can start to see that you can start defining these transitions.
So how do you make a third condition? Like,
You add the little plus right here, parameter,
yeah.
and you make a bool attacking. We call it attacking.
You also want an animation that's in place for that?
I mean, like, they're all kind of in place. Hopefully your attack animation isn't like doing some back kickflip, like, I mean, like, I don't know.
Jumping animation.
Yeah, but as long as it's not going way too off center, it should work. It's okay if he jumps up or something, but as long as he's not like going like really forward or really sideways. There's no script yet. Oh, on which one? So we're gonna come back to this. There's still a few more things we need to add here. You're doing the current time thing? Yeah, so this was the change, and this was the change. Yeah, so I'll mark it right here. So this, and this. Oh, and this. It's probably just a typo
Oh,
somewhere. 56 errors.
No, 156.
156 errors.
So I don't understand. So I built it, and it says.
Oh yeah, that's not where. Sometimes they'll say that.
Wait, but it's still this one?
As long as there's no errors here, then it's good.
But then when I,
Clear. It's all there.
yeah.
It wouldn't clear if it wasn't good. Yeah, ignore in the editor. Yeah, sometimes it'll say that. That's a known Unity thing. So now the player health is an integer. It's going to be something like 100. It's classic, right? 100 health. So what you're going to do here is you're going to do like a very easy way to create a variable that's accessible by like the whole program without having to reference or anything. You can create a public static integer. Health is equal to 100, like that. So the reason why I'm doing static, I'll show you in a moment, but it's like an easy way to just define a number or like a variable that can be accessed at any time from somewhere else. So like the zombie can just change that health down to something. That's kind of the idea. There's better ways to do it, but this is definitely the quickest way to do it. So yeah, just so you know, anything in programming that means it's static, it's almost the equivalent of the word global. So it's kind of like it becomes usable throughout the whole program without having to refer to it, if that makes any sense, what that means. But basically, a reference is like what we've been kind of doing, public transform something, and then you pull it into the inspector. That's a reference. So you just referred to this specific object. Whereas when you make something static, you don't need to refer to it like that anymore. You could just say vrplayer.health -1 or something like that. So you gonna be up?
Yeah.
Alright, man.
Are you uploading this section also?
Yes, absolutely. So now there's obviously ways to visualize health and stuff. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but you can make a sound effect like every time he gets hit, or you could flash like some red colors or something like that. It really kind of depends on you, but the basic premise of it is over here in enemy AI. Actually, it won't work like this. There's a better way to do it. So, but yeah, in any case, so in enemy AI, we're just gonna, since we already have my destination object is most likely our player anyway. We already defined, like the zombie already knows who the player is. So I'm not gonna make this static here. Don't need to. Just public int health.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, man.
Probably
I hope
see
to see you around. Yeah, yeah.
next week.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah. If you go to the roadshow, yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. But what?
Are you presenting?
No, I'm not. I'm just attending. I'm just another attendee. Yeah, we're gonna have the AR bootcamp next weekend, and then we'll also have like more meetup, more free ones and stuff too.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Say hi to your friend too for me. So we got public int health here, and we got our enemy AI. So here's how you do it, right? So on update, right here, so you're gonna type after this set destination. It doesn't matter, it could be before too, but let's just do it after this. We're gonna check So we're going to be like if, and then in here you're going to say vector 3 dot distance. It's a function. So what this function does is it measures the distance between 2 points, between 2 spaces in 3D. So the first point in the distance, so vector 3 distance, so he wants a vector 3a and a vector 3b. So vector a is going to be our own position, so transform dot position. And vector b is going to be my destination object dot position. Oh yeah, got it. So just like this. So vector 3 distance, and then transform position, comma, my destination object dot position. So if this whole chunk right here, right, this whole thing, if that is equal to, or I mean bigger than, or actually smaller than, that's the number we want. I don't know, like 2. So if it's like smaller than the distance of 2, that means it's close enough to be hitting us. Let's say. We can change that later if we don't like that number. So if this is true, so you do the curly brackets like that, and then in there you do my animator dot set bool attacking true. Okay? Then what we could do here is we could start decrementing the player's health, but we're not gonna do it like that because this will kill the player in like a split second because we're doing it every frame. So we have to do the same thing that we did with the shooting. We have to do like a counter. Like we have to basically count and like, you know, because an attack happens like, I don't know, every 2 seconds or something like that. So what you're going to do is you're going to basically create the same thing kind of like above here in void update. You're going to do float current time is equal to 0. Then on update, current time plus equals to time delta time. Okay, so I added this, now we're in here, right? And then right here we're gonna write if current time is bigger than 1f, like that. Then you do what's it called? My destination object, game object, get component, VR player dot health minus equals to 5 or something like that. So every 1 second he's attacking, you're losing 5 health, something like that. And then current time is equal to 0. So we're restarting the timer. The last thing is when the player's health reaches 0. So I'm just gonna wait for you to type this up. Now we're not playing any sound effect yet or like flashing anything yet. So everyone got that? So then over here in VR player, actually, you know what? There's a better way to do this. But yeah, so just in VR player, we're gonna create another void right under here, right under void update, or above void update, why not? Just right above here. You're gonna do public void take damage, like that. And then in there, we'll write, you know, health minus equals to 5. If health is smaller than or equal to 0, application load level 0. Meaning that if our health reaches 0 or under it, it just restarts the app. Which is probably not like the coolest way to end game and restart, but you'll get the point. So this is a custom function. Then now the zombie is calling on our player. So player tells the zombie to die. The zombie tells the player to take damage. That's the symbiosis between them. So just like this, public void take damage. Okay. So now back in the enemy AI. Instead of this my destination object dot game object get component VR player dot health, you're instead gonna do dot take damage, and then whatever you wrote in the VR player's take damage function will fire in there. I believe the last thing that we do here is, so this whole if vector 3 distance is smaller than 2, set attacking to true. We also have to set attacking to false if the distance is no longer that. So right after this you do else, and you open, close, and in here you put my animator set bool attacking false. So this is if the distance is no longer true, else set the attacking to false. Okay, so I'm gonna keep that up a little bit more. Everyone got that? Can I run a quick test? Make sure it works. So let me just make sure it works. So here's how that looks like. So you go in here. I'll bring it back up. Let me just make sure it's good. So I'm not gonna shoot them. I'm gonna let them. See, so they're doing their attack animation. They're smacking me around, and I just loaded into another level. Because this was the original level of our game, right? Do you see what happened? This is the goalie demo we did.
Go! Go! Go!
But yeah, in order to not have that happen, I have to go into my build settings, and I have to make sure that my scene is the first scene, because that's the scene I was loading. So this time, if I die, I will actually just get brought back to the beginning of the level. So I'm gonna look up again. Get hit a bunch of times, and there we go. Started right at the beginning. Lighting is all messed up. I believe I didn't have, I added like on auto calculate lighting or something. Yeah, so I believe I have to generate it.
Yeah, we're getting errors. Compiling it would be any AI.
Yeah, I'll come around because I know there was a bunch in there. So I'm gonna leave this up here and make sure it sorts. Yeah, that's basically the gist of it. So the health keeps counting down as you're getting attacked. So you got, yeah, you have to use it at one time. So this one opens, and this one opens. Yeah, you have to put a parentheses here. That one opens. Should be like here. That one goes there. That one goes there. That one goes there. And then, yeah. So same thing here. After you remove other code. Oh, this. Yeah, you gotta like spell this out. And then you got my destination address. Get component. Your player should be. Yeah. Oh, so you always have to close this parentheses. When you open parentheses, then you write the statement, then you close parentheses. Health is not defined here. So yeah, take damage. Take damage is in this function is on the player. Player is taking damage. So over here, this. Yeah, and now in here, you can do take damage on that guy. Yeah, here, I think something didn't. Oh yeah, you used you didn't use the code right here. Oh, good.
Mine just crashed.
Oh, shit.
And
You lost something?
hopefully not, but there's a compiler error change. Something worse than this.
Oh, you don't like your errors. Hiding them isn't gonna make them go away. Yeah, so you have to put a, like you have to do the function thing. Do that. And then, yeah. You know why you have to do that? Because when you define it, see how
Yeah.
die has like an open close parentheses? So sometimes you can put some extra things in there. Yeah, that should be, so don't hide those.
So
Just clear that, it should be like, it should go away. If it clears and it goes away, then it's then it's a non-problematic error. So you should be good. How you guys doing?
Much never is. 16.
I don't.
So let's see here. So
I can't really drive.
you don't need this to be static
So
anymore.
why
That's
am
not the
I-
problem. That's not the problem.
I'm here, I haven't done anything yet.
Yeah. So this you didn't close this. You have to close it.
Of course, it's harder.
Yeah. and it's,
Still.
Oh, where are they? Oh.
up here.
See, I can't, I don't know. Why is that? Now it's all of a sudden it's hard.
I didn't even try myself.
Because you already defined it up here. Right time.
Oh.
You did it twice. Let's get rid of that one.
Somehow my,
And
is that because,
yeah. So die I believe was a capital D. Yeah. No.
oh,
Oh, enemy AI.
Oh, it's
No, no, it's not.
star?
No, you
Oh, not,
oh.
you see that?
Yeah, this was fine
My
too.
stars is just like keep them getting
Yeah, this
more
is
and
this was
more.
fine. Just gotta see what's up here.
I got now 500, 600, 700 problems. Oh, you checking.
Yeah, so current time has not been defined here. Yes, I think you did the current time. That's where you wrote it twice
Oh.
over there. Yes, so you just do float current time.
Where,
It just has to be typed the same. Just like this.
there's a distance when you call an activation. So maybe I could
Zero. Yeah. That's no problem.
He's still not
And
shooting.
then the last thing. Well, I mean, everything has to work for it to shoot. And then yeah, so you opened some, you didn't close here. So you got like this one opens here. This one opens and closes there. This one opens and closes there. But this should be.
I think so. This is AI, 940 and 39.
Oh, yeah, that's an extra one there. You have an extra one. Curly bracket there. Yes, so now we should go.
My Asians.
Yep. China. I mean, the VR player is not, script's not working. Yeah, I mean, you can't, so, I believe the naming seems to be a problem here. Still saying the associated script cannot be loaded. Oh, well, the name of your script is VR lowercase player. The name of your class is VR uppercase player. So it has to be the same. And then in here, it also has to be the same. Yep. And then, so you can always check, see how I said here, cannot be loaded.
Yeah.
Please fix, so let it do this thing. And then, there it is. Now it has the health, has the speed. So now, you know, it should be able to walk and shoot. Yeah, so see like it walk now.
Oh, okay.
Now your dying animation is, there's no conditions.
It's a 999
So-
plus.
Yeah,
It doesn't
okay.
go
Yes, you have to put a condition here for dead. True.
Maybe that's for the
Same here.
match.
'Cause it won't do it.
Or which one?
So it says the subdestination will be called an activation that has been placed on nav mesh. Can I see your nav mesh?
Yeah, because you don't have a nav mesh agent component. You don't like it or something? It is.
My error group for 999.
Yeah, I see that. So.
Continuous period.
You have to, well, a lot of them are underground or something, I think. Well, you have some, you can't put like the zombies not on the ground somewhere.
I only have 4 zombies, and they're
Well,
only.
you see got 5 here. How's it?
Command delete.
So just one guy on the ground. You might have just copied them weird or something. So, it's all good. You just had some. This is something else. Don't worry about that. But the problem was, is see when you copy one of these guys, like if you put them underground or something, it will not work. That's the problem. It's looking up here. Yeah, that was the problem. You had some copied somewhere where they weren't actually, on. See, set destination can only called on an active agent that has been placed on an nav mesh. You get it? So that's why it's trying to set destination, but it can't because it's not on the nav mesh. That's a problem. But yeah, other than that, you're good. Save that. Yours is all working, right?
Yeah, right now just need to.
Yeah, you might need a few of them. But yeah. So that is the end of VR Bootcamp, day 6. There was a little bit of a extra time there in the end, but yeah, I'm sure everyone will watch this video later to brush up on stuff.
The videos won't, they won't be deleted or anything.
No, they're on YouTube, so yeah. All right, cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is very,
Yeah.
very helpful. I mean, I probably didn't fully get everything, but still.
But you should all be comfortable with all the major Unity concepts. That's the goal. So now you can take it from here, and you can start trying other things, and it'll all make more sense and stuff. So, and again, I have to say, like, thank you for coming. You guys really make this community attending like this, and yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, and thanks for staying extra to get the last few lessons in.
Just quickly, how do you export your entire Unity package for someone to take and open it up?
Yeah, so you just right-click somewhere in your project, right-click, export package, and then it takes a sec here, and then it will like show all of this. And you click export, and you can save it as a file. You could also always like pull up the whole project. You can right-click, show in Explorer, or find open in Finder or whatever they call it. And see, mine's called VR Bootcamp.
Yeah.
So if you just click Documents, like you can just zip up this whole folder, and zip it up and also give to someone. That's how you give the whole project, all the project settings and the tags and everything. If you just export the Unity package, it will not preserve like the tags and some of the project specific settings in here and all that stuff. But if you want to export the whole thing, you can literally just zip up the whole folder, this whole folder, and just export it. And then when you want to open it, you go to File, Open Project, and then you just try to find that folder. You just click it, and
When you say the whole folder, you mean the project?
the whole project folder, yeah, with the assets, with all the little doohickeys in there,
So pretty much everything that we've done from day one till now.
Well, I mean, yeah, the whole Unity project folder. Unity creates a folder for itself, and that's where it puts all the project files and stuff. So if you want to really like give the whole project over to someone, the best way to do it is to zip up this whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
You're very welcome.
How did you know this? Did you teach yourself?
Yeah, I taught myself a long time ago, back when there wasn't even that much like resources and stuff. But I've been doing computer stuff since I was very, very young. Started out mostly doing design and 3D, and then I got into web design, so I was doing some JavaScript and stuff, and then I ended up like getting interested in Unity and started doing some stuff there, and then I kind of branched off away from Unity. I started doing other kinds of programming like backends and databases, and then I went back into Unity again, and then I got into VR, and that's all Unity now for the most part. So yeah, I'm like half and half now between like VR and between like classical like backends and databases and stuff.
You didn't go to school for this?
No, I mean, there's not really that many schools that teach like that much Unity now. There's a few. There's definitely more now than there was when I was like college age and stuff when I was starting. But yeah, I mean, didn't learn this in school. No, there wasn't any schools that taught this when I was doing it.
What's the difference between Unreal and Unity?
I mean, like, it's a matter of preference and what you're used to, but Unity definitely has a bigger community, and I think it's more user friendly. Unreal, like I think I mentioned this before, it kind of assumes what kind of program you want to make. Like, you open it, first thing it says is, do you want to make a shooting game? Do you want to make a puzzle game? Do you want to make it just kind of like, whereas Unity kind of starts you off with a blank slate, and you define all of the characteristics. But yeah, and then I like the scripting language a lot more in Unity, whereas Unreal has this like visual, like node based, and if you've ever done like a complex project, you see that those nodes, it just looks like a spider web, like when it's just a mess to get in there and to find what's connected to what and stuff. Whereas when you're using words, it's much like cleaner, I think, to create interactions. But again, some people will be like, oh, well, I don't know all the words and stuff. But then there's Unity. Unity has some plugins too, like called Playmaker, which does all the scripting visually. So it's just in the asset store. It's called Playmaker. It's a paid asset, but it's a good one. And it does it does visually. You could like define behaviors. Yeah.
Is it a teaching tool?
No, it's a coding tool. It's a tool to set up your behaviors and stuff. I don't know, maybe. Most likely, it's a pretty popular one. So.
That reminds me of something I've seen for kids. It's like it teaches kids coding like this up.
Visually, yeah.
Right, and then you flip it, and you can see the code behind it.
I don't know if you get. This does convert to code, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it has way more assets, way more, way bigger community, way friendlier too. Yeah. So, I mean, but at the end of the day, it's still a matter of preference. And Unreal does have the better graphics engine right now, currently, but I don't think it's going to be like that for long. I mean, but who knows?
Thank you.
Yep.
Do you teach other things besides VR and AR?
Me?
Yeah.
I teach I mean, haven't really done that much of it, but I do plan on starting to teach 3D modeling, and I wanna if there is enough interest and stuff to do networking, but there's not that much interest in that yet. But yeah, that's about it. I'm still I've only been teaching for maybe seriously for maybe about 2 years. Yeah, I'll be teaching more things. I know a bunch of stuff too, I don't do just programming and stuff. I do the visual stuff as well. And point is, you have to develop a curriculum. That's the tricky part, because you have to so this is a curriculum that I've already done with you're the third group now currently. So it's been refined,
Right.
and there's a certain things that the curriculum teaches, whereas like I could wing it too, like, you know, anyone can come to one of my events and I can teach something, I'm sure, but it's not the same as like having a curriculum and knowing exactly what you get at the end of it.
It's a project, there isn't one.
What?
There isn't a curriculum around this as an emerging tech.
Oh, you mean like in schools and stuff?
Yeah.
I'm sure there will be. Yep. I'm going to stop this recording and this will be up on YouTube a little bit later.